Oh, yeah. You really get the sense for the space. But also the fact that it's both local and diasporic, whether we're working in Niger or whether we're in New York, the same principles can be applied. And ultimately, that feeds into environmental sustainability. This is a phenomenal opportunity for African architects to really make a sizable contribution, I think, to the architectural world in general. If we continue building without paying attention to place, without paying attention to sustainability and the environment, what would happen is an acceleration of the climate crisis. So the challenge, especially for me, who's an architect who was trained here, the challenge was to actually unlearn everything that I was trained to do. Climate is always the first thing we think about in every context we build and in every context we're designed for. In a way, we've entered for the past 100 years a world where we don't have to think about the climate when we design a building. But the problem with that is that these kinds of buildings come with a huge carbon footprint. The 20th century really sort of instilled this habit of building with concrete as being the modern material. There's a lot of embodied carbon emission that comes with that. The construction industry contributes at least 40% of global emissions at this point. I grew up in Niger, both in the capital and also in the middle of the desert. Before we had air conditioner and we had automatic heating, we made buildings that had to be sustainable, that had to respond to the climate in order to be livable. Well, traditionally, you would build with earth. And building with earth usually means much, much cooler architecture inside. The Internet Offices was a very interesting project for us, particularly because it gave us the opportunity to design an office building made out of earth. And that proposition allowed for savings in construction of 20 to 30%, which was incredibly attractive, but also savings in energy consumption long term. Originally, the client asked for a building that would be a very typical sort of Western-looking glass box almost. And the irony is that often, because the buildings look so contemporary, people who encounter them don't think they're made out of earth. And you can see the shift in their minds about how they feel about this material. One of my motivations, even for becoming an architect, was to think about an architecture that, in my view, was sensible and made sense for where it was. In Africa, as cities are rapidly urbanizing, this is also the opportunity to actually look very critically at what is it that we're building. There are a lot of solutions that could be born out of the continent, and that could actually provide a blueprint for other parts of the world who will be grappling with the same issues. I've had maybe the reverse trajectory compared to many, where I basically took a firm that was headquartered in Africa and now opening offices in other parts of the world. The difference now is that we're having the opportunity to put this process of making architecture that we've developed over a decade on a more global scene. I hope in the future that this approach to architecture, this view of architecture as a tool for social good becomes not only common, but becomes the norm. Every fraction of a degree matters.